And I think what the single biggest change is be how will customers re-engage? We knew pre-COVID we had a pretty good idea, and the industry was already going through some change pre-pandemic. Technology was at the forefront. Smart folks like you folks are doing the things in the digital space and trying to engage brands to change how they think. So I think the biggest challenge will be is how do I re-attract, how do I re-engage that customer who has had to change and adapt over the last year, but also they've had new ways of getting food to them that weren't there before as prevalent. Delivery and things like that. Will that sustain itself? Will consumers come back inside the restaurants? But in particular, QSR, I think, will change the most because there's less engagement than in the casual, because you have servers and other people that are connecting with you while you're in store and fine dining. So QSR is going to have the greatest challenges because they have a lot of brick and mortar, and people are talking about delivery, takeout, drive-through. So how do you readdress that as you go forward? Then, and the challenge is, what do you do with your brick and mortar at that point when you have a huge digital takeout? So that's that's a major challenge. How do you re-engage your consumers? That's a huge thing because they want safety, they want comfort, they want to make sure that your stores are sanitized and everything you do has that safety feature, because that's alerted us. I think another is then once you re-engage them, how do you reconnect them to drive your sales? It's one thing to feel them safe, but how do you re-engage them and do that? Because if it becomes more digital and the world's looking at an iPhone rather than a TV for their marketing and branding information, so how do you comfort them through that device, which is a huge transformational shift. The old days, it was take a look at the TV or cable and you got all your brand information. That has changed in the last 5 years. And the beauty is you watch TV when you can. The iPhone and other technology devices are with you a lot, other than when you sleep. So you have a constant re-engagement platform. So how do you make that part of the old experience and drive loyalty? I think that's the other. It's one thing to understand where they are, then how do you reconnect them to drive sales and profits as you go forward? But I think one of the things, the market will always adjust, and it'll have to be pricing. I think one way to do it, which people hate to do, but everyone is going to, this is one of those situations where everyone is impacted. So raising prices isn't one brand over another. There could be some acceptability there. The other thing is that technology, your world, can replace some of that $15 an hour labor, which makes the model a bit different. It's just a different expenditure of capital to create kiosks, perhaps, or other ways to take care of the customer. And if you have more delivery and takeout, your labor force can be less jobs to do that because you don't need to man POS or things like that. So there's a couple of things that will probably happen. I think technology will be a way to replace, which is a bit hurtful because that now the labor force isn't working. So there'll be jobs lost with that. But in order for a business model to thrive and reset, those kinds of things have to come into place. Technology replaced and a different delivery to the consumer rather than brick and mortar where you have to staff it. The profits of that have not stabilized. So it's still a little bit uncertain, but it's a great way to deliver product to your restaurant menu to your consumers. It could very well be that kiosks aren't the answer. It could be if you come in store, but so much more now is mobile apps, loyalty, where you can order ahead, and now your product's waiting for you. So you can eliminate some labor even without the kiosk. If more people are picking up, paying through the mobile app, you don't need 4 POS. You need maybe 2. So there could be some savings there and less labor demand there as well. But The back office is another way, labor scheduling. The problem with labor scheduling with if big brands have lots of stores, it's hard to administer. And so you can have the guides and the franchisees can say thank you, but they're still going to model it where they're comfortable. And they have to learn. And one of the things I think that a recovery has to be is what talent do you need going forward? How do you educate, train, and reinforce the training to make sure these technology events can be taken advantage of? I think that's a huge quantum shift as well. You know, the old labor force could manage by showing up and doing, here's a checklist and I'm ready to go. Today, it's very, very different. It will be different as we go forward using more and more technology. So we use insight teams to get closer and closer to those customers to try to understand new behaviors as we move forward. And so the consumer insights teams are on the road all the time, conducting broad groups, understanding particularly where we wanted to grow. We knew our customer pretty well in markets where we had some penetration. There were our sort of our core markets. But if you branch out into new markets, you have to understand, are the behaviors, the attributes the same? We had to do it more physically with less technology. So today, with the world being very, very different, you can use technology to really get quick analysis. And Inspire Brands, they're doing that. We have a huge AI group, and they're constantly using technology to connect with the customer, with the loyalty programs and et cetera. And it's been hugely beneficial, and it's quick to market.